Good morning, students. Hope you all might be fine and healthy. Today, we are going to start with Indian economics. As you know, that there are two books in your course. One is microeconomics, which we have already started, and today we are going to start the other book, that is Indian economics. It is a little bit related to your history only, and some of the parts you might have studied in your 9th and 10th standard. Let's start Indian economics. The first chapter of which is on the eve of independence, what was the condition of our India? Obviously, the different structure, I would say the India's structure in different sectors that we are going to study. Is it clear? Okay. So we are going to start with Indian economics. So Indian economics on the eve of independence. First of all, we are going to study the basic concepts. Let's see what are the topics which we are going to cover in the Indian economics, the first chapter on the eve of independence. Is it clear? The concepts which we are going to cover, or we can say the topics which we are going to cover are, first we'll talk about the introduction, that is India's economy on the eve of independence, and little bit we are going to study about the history, that is before the independence, what was the condition of our India. And second, we are going to study about the second topic, that is structure of Indian economy at that time, and obviously on the eve of independence and before independence. In the same way, state of agriculture, state of industrial sector, state of foreign trade, status of demographic conditions, and status of occupational structure, status of infrastructure. These all are the topics which we are going to cover under this chapter. Let's start today. That is introduction. The structure of Indian agriculture before independence, how it was. As we all know that India was known as golden bird of economy. In the whole world, it was known as golden bird. Why? Because India was very good in agriculture also. And agriculture was the main source of our livelihood. Not even this thing. India was producing a lot of handicraft products. That is, in industrial sector, we were very good in artisans and handicraft, which was famous worldwide. So, on the whole, we can say it was very good. But this was just before the arrival of Britishers. Now, what happened after the arrival of Britishers? Let's see. After the arrival of Britishers, India, that is under the British rule, how it was. You can see British government pursued some policies which favored the economic interest of its own home country. That is, Britishers were following and they were pursuing such a type of policies which were only helping their economic conditions. Not even, they were just taking all the policies they have just planned only for the interest of their home country, only for the benefit of their home country. Nothing was planned for the benefit of our India. And such policies changed the structure of Indian economy. How it changed the Indian economic structure. As I said earlier, that India was very good in agriculture as well as handicraft, artisans, etc., etc. But later on, due to such a type of policies which were framed by Britishers, everything was ruined. Agriculture sector's conditions became very pitiable. Not even agriculture, industrial sector was totally ruined. We know that India was very good in agriculture sector, industrial sector. That is, if I'm talking about artisans, if I'm talking about other types of handicraft items, not even this thing. India was very good in cotton textile. India's cotton, silk, raw silk, even silk, many things were very famous worldwide. All this was totally ruined because of the policies made by the Britishers. Third thing, if we talk about India became the supplier, like what happened when they changed the policies? What happened to India's all these things? Like if I'm talking about the agriculture sector, if I'm talking about the industry sector, everything was ruined, and only it became the supplier of raw materials and consumer of finished goods of Britain. That is, it became near the importer of finished goods made by Britishers in their home country and near the exporter of, that is, raw materials. That means previously India was exporting cotton, silk, but now it was exporting only the raw materials which can useful for producing cotton as well as other textiles, but not in our home country because they were producing and they were just sending it to the home country. I'm just like British's home country. Only raw materials we were sending, and in return, what we were doing, we were just bringing the products which were made in the machine, that too in the British's home country, which was brought into our India and was sold. And while doing all these things, what the Britishers have done, they were playing dual policy system. What is this dual policy system? That is, both the sides, like while sending the raw materials, the tariff was, I'm going to say, 0%. And in, not even this thing, while bringing the finished goods in our India, that time also, the tariff was 0. That is, no taxes was levied on import and export of Britishers. I would say import and export, whichever is done with the help with the British country. Is it clear? And this became what have this is the major role played by the Britishers in bringing down the level of economic development of India. That is, due to this reason, low level of economic development took place. Understood, students? So this was the condition of after Britishers' arrival. Let's see now what happened. State of agriculture sector. What was the state of agriculture sector on the eve of independence? At that time, the key factors of agriculture sector were, we can say, first thing is low level of agricultural productivity. The second thing is land tenure system. The third point, if I'm talking about natural calamities, dependence on rainfall, traditional techniques, all these were the key factors of India's low level of agriculture. Or at that time, this was the status of agriculture sector. Now, let's discuss one by one. First is low level of agriculture productivity. What do you mean by this low level of agriculture productivity? India's agricultural condition was really a pitiable condition. Why it happened? Because the production which was taking place in the agricultural land, it was not at all good. They were not using any modern techniques. They were using traditional techniques. They were always depending on the rainfall, and most of the time natural calamities, that is just like a famine, flood, or many other reasons which took place, like earthquake, or we can say like all these reasons which brought once again many more I would say like agricultural production was totally ruined due to this natural calamities also. Apart from this, the government, that is the British government, has played a vital role in bringing down this agricultural production by bringing a land tenure system. What does it mean? Land tenure system, you might have studied in your previous 9th standard, 10th standard. Land tenure system, wherever they have brought Jamindari system, Mehalwari system, and Riwatwari system. If we talk about Jamindari system, it is like the meaning of Jamindari system was like the private owned land, I would say the land which is owned by the private people, were approximately 51% at that time, which was now totally controlled by Jamindars. That is, Jamindar was they have been appointed by the British government, just assuming that they are the owner of the land. And then what they have to do? They have to levy taxes on the farmers, or they have to appoint some farmers on the land which just they are working. They were just working hard. They were growing the food, but they were not getting in return anything. But everything was taken away by the Jamindars. That is, the benefit was going to the Jamindars or the Britishers, and not the person who were tilling the land. Not even this thing. There are different, as I said, Mehalwari system, Riwatwari system. Riwatwari system was also there. That is, 38% of the India's people were engaged in Riwatwari system. And the third one was Mehalwari system, which was about approximately 5%. Now, instead of studying all this in detail, just a simple thing that this is a land tenure system which was totally ruining our, and honestly speaking, it was a major condition for India because this land tenure system has totally ruined our India's agriculture system. You can see all these things. These were the key factors of agriculture sector, of ruining of agriculture, or we can say the low level of agriculture sector. Okay, next topic we'll just think. What is that? There were few more reasons of low level of development. What were those? On the eve of independence, we know that when India got independence on 15th August 1947, but with the partition. India was divided in among two parts. One was Pakistan, and the next was India. Now, if you see the partition, when the partition took place, you can just see in this particular India's map that West Pakistan and East Pakistan, there were two parts. And if we talk about West Pakistan, the total jute industry went over here. India was very good in jute, cotton, silk, but among that, the jute industries totally was, I would say, was located in this West Pakistan, went into part due to the partition, went into the Pakistan. If we talk about the next point, that is like it led to an adverse impact of jute industry because most of the jute producing areas went to East Pakistan, as I said. So you can see in West Pakistan, East Pakistan, there are two parts. And what happened in East Pakistan, the jute industry was, I would say, with the help, due to the partition, uh, it went to Pakistan. Is it clear? One more, one more reason due to, of low level of development. Is it clear, students? Next point was, as I said, Jamindari system. What was happening in the Jamindari system? British government introduced Jamindari system in the Bengal presidency, in which Jamindars were recognized permanent owner of the land. That is, you can just see profit accruing out of the agriculture sector went to the Jamindars instead of cultivators, as I told you before itself. The next was commercialization of the agriculture. Not even Jamindari system. They have introduced another thing, that is commercialization of agriculture. That is, whatever crops were grown by the farmers. Previously, we were growing rice, wheat, many other different type of crops, right? But later on, what happened? Our farmers were forced to shift from commercial crops to cash crops, just like I would say, food crops to commercialization of crops, or we can say cash crops. What are those cash crops? Indigo. Why they have just forced the farmers to go for the growing indigo? Because indigo was the thing which is useful for the dyeing of the clothes. And as I said before itself, that the raw materials which they were taking from our India, they were using for their homemade products. I would say the cotton, indigo, they were taking from here so that they can utilize it for the manufacturing of their goods, cotton goods or cloth manufacturing, which were brought in once again, finished goods were brought in our India just to resell it. Now you can see, students, what happened. This was the reason that indigo was required as a raw material for dyeing purposes for, by the Great British government, textile technical industries. And this was the result. Like what happened? Due to this reason, what happened? What was the result? Exposure of subsistence farming, uncertainty of the market conditions are indebtedness. People became indebtedness. Most of the farmers, they just suffered a lot. They went into the debt. A lot of they have buried themselves under a lot of debts because they were unable to grow a lot of crops. Not even this thing. These crops were taken away by the government, I would say British government, at the cheaper rate. They were not paying them good amount of whatever they were doing. And not even this thing, plus apart from this thing, they were forcing them to grow only this type of crops instead of growing wheat and rice. So the farmers lost their subsistence farming. You might have heard about subsistence farming, that is growing for themselves and growing like excess goods they can supply in the market and they can earn a lot of money. But they were unable to do now that because they were forceful to grow commercial crops. Then the next thing is So commercialization of agriculture took place. Due to this reason also we can say we have lost our agricultural sector totally. This was the condition at the time of eve of independence. On the eve of independence, we were suffering a lot of things because of all these reasons. Today we have studied about the commercialization, I would say the agricultural sector, the condition of agriculture sector, the states of agriculture sector, the status of the agriculture sector on the eve of independence. In the next video, we are going to study about the status of industrial sector. Okay, students, I hope you might have find this video nice one. Just prepare according to this thing. At least today you can just learn the colonialization and the status of agricultural sector. Okay, so let's see you in the next video. Bye bye. See you.